Hi, this is Kat with Beadaholique, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to make the Awakened necklace featuring gemstone beads, wood beads, and check glass beads from Raven's Journey. So today is going to be all about strung jewelry, which means we have a lot on our plate here. So let's just go ahead and see what we've got. So for tools, you're going to need a pair of crimping pliers, which I have over here, a pair of chain nose pliers, flush cutters, and round nose pliers, because we're actually also going to be doing a simple wire loop. And then I have a couple of pairs here I have a pair of bead stoppers, and we're going to use that. I have my beading wire over here. Like I said, I'm going to be using some wood beads here today. I have some gemstone beads. These are my check glass drops from Raven's Journey. So I have 3 different colors. I also have some open frame hoops, my eye pin. I have some crimps, some crimp covers, and my lobster clasp. I have my focal Buddha bead here. And then I also have some 8/0 Miyuki round seed beads. So I have a lot here, but let's go ahead and break this down. So the very first thing that I want to do to create this design is I'm going to take my little Buddha head here, and I'm going to take my eye pin, string on 1 seed bead, and that's just going to help because the hole on the Buddha is a little bit large. So what I want to do is just kind of create a little stopper there at the bottom, kind of almost so that you don't even see it. And then I'm going to add 1 bead on top just to complete that look. So this is our first little component. So let's now go ahead and take our round nose pliers, come in here, and what we're going to do is we're just going to make a simple wire loop. So we're just going to bend that wire back, and then holding it, we're just going to wrap it up and over the top. Go ahead and bring that around, finishing that loop, and now we have that loop on that one side. So what we can do is remove our pliers, come in with our flush cutters, and just remove that excess wire. Now, for this piece, we can go ahead and just take this, and we're going to set it down there for now. And I'm going to kind of remove a couple pieces here that we're not going to need just yet. All right. So this is going to be a 2-part piece. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to measure out from my beading wire. I'm going to measure about 12 inches. All right, go ahead and snip that off with my flush cutters. And I'm just going to set my ruler aside, come in with my bead stopper, and I'm going to just do one end right there. And what we're going to do to this other end is we're going to treat this bead stopper as though it is our clasp in the back. So I'm going to show you the pattern that I want to do. So the first thing we want to do here is we're going to use those little seed beads as nice little spacer beads. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up 3 of them and go ahead and slide those down. Now, these little drops, if you'll notice, they do have a drop-like shape, kind of like a teardrop. So we always want to make sure that we're putting them on in the right order. So it's always helpful to kind of place this on your work surface. Let me kind of get these guys out of the way, actually. Place this on your work surface so that you know the direction you're going with these little beads. So I'm going to go ahead and string on 1 of the teal. I'm going to go teal, purple, and blue. And I'm going to add a seed bead in between each one as I slide it down. And you'll see that we want to make sure that they are going the right direction. All right, so I have 1, 2, and 3. Perfect. And now what I'm going to do is I've added that last little seed bead there. I'm going to switch over and I'm going to do a different kind of trio. So I'm going to add on 1 of my gemstone beads. And if you take a look here, the hole on my wood beads is rather quite large. So I'm not going to be able to put a seed bead on top of that because otherwise it'll just fall right in there. So I'm just going to slip that on. And then add 1 more of my gemstone beads. And now I'm just going to repeat that. Now I had 3 of the beads up there at the top. That was just for my clasp. So now what I want to do is just add on 1. And I'm just going to repeat to do 1 of my teal, 1 of my purple, Again, alternating with that seed bead in there. And one of the blue. All right, so you're probably wondering, what are we going to do with this hoop here? So this is a perfect example of kind of adding in a nice little focal piece. Now, you could extend this, and I actually might here in a moment. Let me just see on my ruler how far that is. All right, so that's only 5 inches. And thinking as you're designing, if this is coming from the back of the neck, this is gonna not even quite come down to the collarbone just yet. So I think I am going to make a decision here, and let's go ahead and add another round of our gemstone beads here. So we'll do gemstone, wood, gemstone. I don't like that one. Not all beads are created equal. All right. So now I have another trio there. Now I want to add the hoop with the Buddha bead in the center, but I want him to be off center, meaning I want my necklace to kind of come like this. You can just sort of see it on camera there, that I want that piece to be a focal. However, I really kind of wanted the 3 colorful beads as close to that bead as possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue. And this is where the bead stopper is going to be your friend, because you are going to see what's going to happen here. So I can add on my 1 bead there, and my next, the turquoise, the gold, the purple, the gold, and finally that blue bead there with 1 more gold. All right, so my goal here, let me just double check my pattern, is to actually attach this to this wire here. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to take one of my crimp tubes and I'm going to slide it down onto my wire, and I'm going to go around this hoop here and then turn my wire around and go back through that crimp tube, just like so, and go ahead and slide that down. So I want it to be a little bit loose. I need it to have a little bit of movement to it, but tight enough that it's going to be secure. So go ahead and you can kind of see, again, I'm just sort of checking, making sure that it'll move around a little bit. And you're going to come in with your crimping pliers and setting it in that first little notch there. Go ahead and crimp. And then I'm going to take that out and just rotate it 90 degrees and move it to the second little notch there so that it can fold over like a little V. And you can always give it a little extra pinch there on the end. So that is what I want to achieve there. Now I'm just going to take this wire and kind of stick it down through that 1 seed bead and allow it to come up through that 1 blue bead. And here's where I can come in and just snip the tail of that wire off. All right, perfect. So finally, I'm going to come in with a crimp cover. Now you do not need to use crimp covers. You can if you like. I always like the way they look. They kind of end up looking a little bit like a metal bead afterwards. So you just kind of set it into the little jaws there. You can just see it kind of looks like a little Pac-Man. And just hold it with your fingers. And I'm kind of holding mine a little awkwardly for camera, but I want you guys to try to be able to see this. And then I'm just going to come in over top and just give it a little pinch. And we can kind of rotate our pliers just to bring that together. Again, we want it to be like a little tiny bead there on the end. All right, beautiful. That actually worked out very nicely. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and slide that on. And now you can see how that looks. So it has a really nice finished look. Now, here's where the back end of it, we can just leave. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my bead stopper and move it up so that it's nice and tight on my beads there. So I'm going to leave that bead stopper there until I'm fully until I'm really further along, so that I can make sure that that size is what I want. Because what I can also do is I can take off some beads. Let's say I wanted to take off these last 3. I could just add a string of seed beads in the back. That way I can kind of adjust that size without continuing the pattern. So you always want to use a bead stopper. It'll help you kind of keep that in play. All right, so we're going to move now to this side here. And this is where I'm going to attach my little Buddha bead. All right, so go ahead and come in with those chain nose pliers there. And I'm just going to open up that top loop, same as you would a jump ring, and slide on my frame there. And just making sure it stays right in there. I'm just going to go ahead and sneak in there and close up that loop, making sure I get a nice good closure. And while I'm here holding it, I'm just going to come to this side and I'm going to open up and slip in my second little piece there and give that a nice little closure. So you can see what we're going to do now is we're going to take this first half here, that's going to be our clasp in the back. You can just kind of see. And now what I want to do is I want to take this and I want to repeat that pattern, and I'm going to go down and around and meet up at the other side. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so now we are going on to the second bit here. So I had about a foot of wire for that first one. So just to give myself a little extra, I am counting on about 2 feet of wire. So I just measured this out. So this is about 2 feet now we have here. And again, I'm going to come in with my bead stopper and place it about 2 inches or so from one end. This is enough. The reason why I say 2 inches is you just want to make sure that you have enough to turn around on your crimp tube when you get to the other side. So now what we can do is we can start here with our pattern, or we can reverse it and start on the other side so that we know that what we're ending with at our bead stopper here is our clasp. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So let's assume we like the first side. So we're just going to pick up 3 of those little seed beads there, slide those down, and now here it is again. So you can decide if you want to come from your loops here and kind of do the reverse, which is what I'm going to do, or you can do it the other way around. So you can either have your beads stacked like this, or excuse me, rather like that, so they continue the shape of those teardrops, or you can flip them around so that it kind of comes out from the center. So you can do something like that as well. So you can kind of create your own style of pattern if you want to do a mirrored effect or what have you. So what I'm going to do, because I think it'll be kind of fun to see this, is I'm going to go with this type of style here. So what that means is that I'm going to put this bead on first. So this is going to be, actually, you know what? I have decided to do something else. Let's go back here, and I'm going to actually take off those little seed beads, and I am going to pretend that my bead stopper is my stopper here. So let's continue to work the same way. I think that'll be a little bit easier, and I'll get to see my pattern develop. I'm kind of doing this on the fly. All right. So let's go ahead and let's continue on with our pattern, assuming that I can just do, let's see. All right, let's reverse the pattern, but keep the beads going the same way. Does that make sense? So we are going to start with our blue bead. We are going to start with our gold seed bead, and then our blue bead here, another gold, and we're going to do the purple, gold, and teal. All right, so let's go ahead and slide that guy down there. Okay, so this is what I'm going to be going after now. So we have a little bit of a different style happening, which I kind of like. You know, why not? Stringing is really great to just experiment and have fun with. But again, like I'm telling you, that bead stopper is your friend, because I already had to take apart a little bit of my design. Okay, stringing on a wood bead and getting another bead there. All right, so now I'm going to actually end up repeating this pattern a couple of times. So let's see. All right, so now we're ready to, we have our seed bead on there, ready to add a blue bead, gold bead, purple bead, gold bead and green bead. All right, perfect. All right, so I'm going to continue this pattern, and I will meet you back here on the other side. So I have done the pattern now, and I've added, you can hopefully just kind of see all of it in frame here. So this is the second piece, and I am up to about 21 inches or so. So what I'm going to do now is I think I'm happy with the way this looks, so I'm going to remove my bead stopper from this side, and this is the side that I intend to attach to this one here. So again, we're just going to go ahead and take our crimp tube, slide it on to our wire. Oops, grab a different one. There we go. Slide it onto our wire, and we're going to go up and over our little loop here, our open frame hoop rather, and go ahead and sneak that wire through. And let's bring that together. And again, we want it to be tight but mobile. So we can come in with our crimping pliers here. Again, setting it right into that little notch there. Give it a nice little crimp. And now we're just going to rotate that. Crimp it together. You can see it kind of squeeze. Always give it a little extra. There we go. And now, same kind of thing. I like to go through a bead or two before I trim it off. So go ahead and sneak that wire through and trim that wire. And finally, we're just going to grab another one of those crimp covers there and go ahead and come in with it. And crimp down our little cover. If you decided to not use the crimp cover, you can also consider using the magical crimps. They look like even smaller little beads there. But I like the crimp cover look. It looks very nice in this particular design because I've got some larger beads happening there, so it works for me. Okay, so now we can come to both sides here, and we can finish off our clasp. Now here's the option for you if you wanted to take some time. You can, size it up. What I recommend you do is put that that bead stopper right back on there, and then you can have your full necklace and it's not going to go anywhere, so you can try it on and kind of see how it fits. You can also kind of really stretch it out along your ruler if you'd like, but I'm pretty happy with this. I think it's nice. It falls just the way I wanted it to, with my little Buddha there kind of hanging towards the bottom, just a little off center, so that is perfect for what I want. So I am going to remove the bead stopper on my very first side there. And what I want to do is I want to take my little crimp tube and I'm going to go up and over, and I'm just going to add on my lobster clasp right there to the top and pull that down through. And again, we want to make sure that we're getting as close as we can. Now this side is a little bit different because what we can do is we can take our little wire there and sneak it through, hopefully those last little 3 seed beads, and then we can pull snug from there. So you can just kind of wiggle it around. Sometimes I find it helps if you just do that, but make sure you're not pulling too snug. We want to make sure that this is still going to feel a little liquidy, so we want to make sure to allow some extra little space there. So this is perfect. Go ahead and crimp your crimp tube and rotate. Crimp it again, snip off that wire, there we go. Just had to get the right angle on it. All right, and now coming in with our crimp cover. And we're just going to close that up, just like so, to finish our very first side. All right, so now let's go ahead and we're going to flip over to the other side. All right, so coming to our last piece here, I'm going to trim off a little of this wire. I have a little more than I needed. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to take my crimp tube, slide that on, slide on a closed jump ring, and come through doing the same thing as I did on the opposite side here, and just sneaking my wire through those last little seed beads there. And something that you can do to help you out, it can just kind of be just to grip the wire there with your pliers. And like I said, you just kind of wiggle it down, make sure it's where you want it to be. And we want to still make sure that we have some movement here, some liquidy. All right, and finally coming in with that crimping pliers, giving that a nice little pinch there. Let's go ahead and trim off our wire. And the final item is adding on that last little crimp cover. All right, and there we go, all done. So now we can attach our lobster to our little closed jump ring, and that is our clasp there. Now let me see if I can kind of give you a little visual here of what we've got going on. All right, so we'll kind of make this a little heart so you guys can see. There we go. So I have my strung jewelry. Now, again, this is one of those pieces that you can really, really make your own. It's a lot of fun. You can, test out some of your favorite gemstones, but I love these little Raven's Journey drop beads, excuse me, because they're just so colorful, and I love that little splash of gold that you have on there. So this is how to make the Awakened necklace here. And you can see that we have some extra beads left over, so you could always do some earrings, or if you wanted to kind of create a secondary bracelet, that could be really, really fun as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video. You can get all of these supplies and see even more tutorial videos by heading over to Beadaholique.com. And if you're new to our YouTube channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button below to get all the latest from Beadaholique.